Guests on Sportslook receive compact binoculars from Bosch & Lomb, one of the first names in sports optics. Waterproof, fog-proof, and center focus. They get you close to the action. Furnished by Bushnell.
Win, lose, or draw, this is a kind of trophy, regardless of what happens on Sunday, Super Bowl 20. Billy Sullivan sees that the New England Patriots name on the Super Bowl football coming up. Let me throw this ball on over to you. Do you feel as though, in all that's been written about you in the Boston Globe and all those papers in New England, that this is a kind of vindication that, in fact, you did bring a winner finally?
No, because all that's been written about me of a negative nature hasn't been in the Boston Globe. A lot of fine things have been written by some very fine writers whom I respect. And I would have to say around the rest of New England, I have nothing but high regard for all of the writers and media type. So I don't look at vindication. I hope I'm not so small-minded that because one man has acted as he has against my family. I mean, so far as I'm concerned, he didn't affect us getting here or not getting here. So I don't want to give him any blame, any credit, or even any recognition.
Final point. We have just seconds left. There was a moment yesterday in the press conference that you had where your grandchildren came up to you, having been at the game in Miami, said, "Poppy, don't sell the team. You can't sell the team." That kind of an emotional appeal, I guess, has got to
really
motivate you a great deal, huh?
It really did, particularly since they're very attractive young people and very loving. And I think the one thing that I wouldn't trade for anything in the world, I wouldn't trade for the National Football League, the Vince Lombardi Trophy, for all the cash that all of the rich guys in our league have. I wouldn't trade one member of my family.
How about a quick Super Bowl prediction, Mr. Sullivan?
Patriots 24, Chicago Bears 14. I think they'll give us a real good game.
Best of luck to you on Sunday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill Sullivan. We'll come back with more on Sportslook after this.
Imagine being on location with ESPN at events from around the world. Places you dream about. Now you can be there when ESPN takes you on World Tour. The first stop on the tour is the French Open. And your chance to be there with us in Paris is your entry in the World Tour sweepstakes. To enter, watch any of ESPN's tennis events in April. Catch the World Tour winning slogan that will be announced during the event. Write it on a card with your name and address and mail to World Tour Sweepstakes, Post Office Box 1132, Ridgely, Maryland 21683. That's World Tour Sweepstakes, Post Office Box 1132, Ridgely, Maryland 21683. That entry will qualify you for the grand prize of a trip for two to the French Open. And that's only one stop on ESPN's World Tour.
Sportslook coming to you, of course, from the Hyatt Regency in New Orleans, the site of Super Bowl 20, Sunday between the Chicago Bears and the New England Patriots. Joining us now on Sportslook, Will McDonough, the Boston Globe, who has been with Boston Globe since 1960, the year, ironically enough, the Boston Patriots joined the American Football League. Welcome, Will.
Okay, Roy.
Is there a feud between you and Billy Sullivan? What quarrels have you with his administration?
Well, he likes to think it's a feud. I like to think it's sort of an annoyance and a distraction. Billy and the Sullivans, for some reason, try to think that I spend most of my life thinking about them when I very rarely think about them. But to me, it was kind of flattering at their greatest moment when they beat the Raiders in Los Angeles that I was 2,500 miles away, home in New England. And in fact, I'd just gone to bed and I got a phone call and said, "Hey, the Sullivans are on television knocking you. You're a stooge for Al Davis." I thought that was a great compliment. I'd rather be Al Davis's stooge than their best friend.
How would you criticize, though, the administration of this football team by all the Sullivans?
This present football team?
Right.
I wouldn't criticize the present football team. The reason, like I have said, the reason they're in the Super Bowl this year is that Billy Sullivan and primarily his son Chuck Sullivan couldn't interfere with the ball club this year because they were too busy running around trying to sell the team because they have financial problems. As a result, they have let Raymond Berry run the football program, which I have said for 26 years, if they just let somebody in there who was a football person who would go in and run the program, they'd have a successful team. Finally, through their own distraction, it has happened. Now, when they get to this position in the playoff, they all want to jump out and get in front of the cameras. They all want to take bows. When Billy got the trophy for the AFC in Miami. He didn't have the grace or the courtesy to even say, I want to thank my players and my coaches for getting here. He went right into a story about himself and how much money he spent for the team. No, just come down here this week, have a good time, let the team play, let them get the credit they deserve. They're the ones that got in this team. They earned it with their coaches, and let those guys get the credit.
We were talking before with Mr. Sullivan on the question of semantics. He said that there was in no way a fraud involving his stock case. And I don't want to really get too much involved in the legal aspects of it. But if you were a betting man, would you think that Billy Sullivan would have to sell this football team? Would he lose that case again?
Well, you know, Billy has said that several different things about why he had to sell the football team. Back in, I believe it was August, he was quoted in the Foxborough Reporter, which is the paper in the town where the stadium is located, as saying some crazy judge made a ruling against him several years ago, which is going to cost him the team. A month later, the statement of the family was they were doing it because of inheritance tax purposes. They didn't want the survivors of the estate, if something should happen to Bill, to be caught and not be able to pay all this money. So what is it now that they say they want to keep the team? They don't care about the kids anymore? They don't care about the survivors? What's going on?
Some have suggested that Sullivan remain on as president in title only, just so he can maintain the high profile.
Well, I really think that, you know, I know that this is part of negotiations, from my understanding, is with the people who are considering buying the team, that Bill be allowed to stay on in some fashion and his son Pat be allowed to stay on as the general manager. And I think in a period of transition, in a way, maybe that should be the case. If people want to spend all that money to buy the team, and this is part of the deal, and it has to be it, let them do it.
Quick observation. Would it be a good thing for the Patriots if Sullivan sold that football team?
Yeah, I think it'd be a terrific thing. I think it's a time for a new era. They got a terrific football team. Their coaching staff is doing very well. Let's make a clean break with the past and get on with the future.
Will McDonough, the Boston Globe, our guest on Sportslook. In a few moments, some final thoughts and a prediction from the writer who's been there for 25 years. Will McDonough after this.
Daddy, what's Vietnam?
What's Vietnam? A question a child might ask, but not a childish question. A question that in the past has led not to answers, but only to other questions. What were we fighting for? Why didn't we just drop the bomb? How could we fight an enemy we couldn't even see?
Did all those people die?
Time Life Books and Boston Publishing present The Vietnam Experience, the series designed to answer the nagging questions.
Did we win the war, Daddy?
Each volume looks at the war from every point of view. No matter where you stood, you'll gain new insights into your own position, as well as those you may have opposed. You'll attend secret meetings at the White House and walk into an ambush to draw enemy fire. From Quezon to Chicago to Saigon, you'll be there, learning much you didn't know about Vietnam and much you didn't know about America.
Why did we fight the war, Daddy?
Call toll-free and start putting the Vietnam experience into focus with Combat Photographer. You'll see what it was like over there from a perspective the media couldn't provide, an historic perspective that only now are we able to consider. It is important that we honor and remember those who gave their lives for our country. But honoring isn't enough. Remembering isn't enough. We must answer the question, what's Vietnam? For ourselves and for the next generation.
Will I have to fight in a war, Daddy?
To order your first book, call now, 1-800-228-3600. It will be sent to you free for 10 days. Keep it and pay just $14.95 plus shipping and handling. Others will follow about one every other month. Keep the ones you want, cancel anytime. So call 1-800-228-3600.
Talking to Will McDonough of the Boston Globe here in New Orleans on Sportslook, and we've been talking about a lot of the negatives, particularly in terms of management of the New England Patriots. What's a real positive? What's a plus for New England and for the league in general, the Patriots' appearance in the Super Bowl?
Well, I think the best thing that's happened this year in New England for the Patriots is that finally, I think it has proven that New England could be a great pro football area. There has always been doubt, like in the Boston region in particular. The Patriots have always been the fourth team behind either the Celtics or the Bruins, depending on which one of those teams were atop. You know,
sure.
When the Bobby Orr era was with the Bruins, they were number one. Now it's the Larry Bird era. They're number one. Or when the Red Sox, you know, in 67 and 75 got to the World Series, they're on top. the Patriots never got on top. And it was my feeling, being a pro football writer, and seeing what happens here at the Super Bowl and seeing what happens in other cities.